Hi, my name is Miss Emolyn, and I'm a teaching artist in the PACE Arts program where we integrate the arts with classroom curriculum. We are coming to you today thanks to the Acadiana Center for the Arts and the Lafayette Parish School System in Lafayette, Louisiana. Today's art project will involve just a couple of supplies. We need some pieces of paper. White paper would do the trick. If you want to include construction paper or any kind that you have, like scrap paper of some kind or graph paper, we can also use a brown paper bag. You would just cut out the inside of the bag. You could use that paper. We're going to be creating a summertime journal. These months coming ahead, it's a really fun time to collect all of your ideas and thoughts and images and put them all into one book. So I'm going to show you how to make a simple journal, and then we're going to talk about how to collect images and then how to use some of those images to teach us some drawing skills. And hopefully you can keep this book with you all summer and collect all kinds of images and also do some writing in there and some drawing and bringing in all of those things that you love. All right, let's begin. Here you can see it's a basically a brown journal. This was covered with a paper bag and it was all glued down. And I am in the process of collecting images to do a collage on the front. So you can see if you do a handmade thing, you can turn it into a piece of art by adding a lot of your favorite images. The fun thing about a journal like this is you can add different kinds of paper into it. This is watercolor paper, so I could use a paintbrush and paint for this one. And then this is plain, so it's easy to draw or to write in this book. Also, it's a really fun binding and it lies flat, so you don't have to worry about pressing it down when you're drawing. Now, if you don't have a journal like this, you can make one. This is one that I made, and it's just bound very simply on the edge by poking holes and just tying it together. It's about the size of a regular piece of paper, and I fold it in half, and here you can see I draw a lot and I drew all over it. And then I also combined it with graph paper plus blank paper, and here you can see I put a song that I really loved and I wrote it down, so it can involve using a bunch of different kinds of paper. Now, with just white paper, we're going to do some images later, so if you want to leave your images to the side for now, using just white paper, we can fold this in half, fold it this way, making a rectangular book. If you wanted to be really artistic with it, you could fold it any way you want, but this is not as doesn't have as much space in order to write things, so I would like to fold it this way. Okay, fold it with me. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of paper, which means it is easy enough to fold. I can press it down and I can push along the edge, running one finger, in this case my thumb, along the edge. If you choose more than 6 pieces of paper, it would be a little bit difficult to fold. You could do it. You could try 10 pieces of paper. But sticking to just a couple makes it possible to fold. And we had 6 pieces, and when we fold them in half, how many does that make? 12. Okay? Now the easiest way would be you could grab a staple and staple 1, 2, 3, 4, and you would have a quick book, but you would have a spine that you would have to press. You'd have to press that spine open in order for it to lay flat. So what we're going to experiment with today is opening it so that all pages are open, and you're back to that center fold, and we're going to reach in 1/2 inch and we're going to punch a hole right on the spine. Now you could use a hole punch, or if you don't have one, you could use anything sharp like a needle, and of course you would want, if you're going to use something sharp, you would want to ask an adult to help you, okay? Then we're going to reach up as far as this hole punch can go, which is not very far. We're going to do it again on the other side. Now, that is one thing about the hole punch, is that you can only go up a certain distance, okay? So then we're going to use our scissors and we're going to create a second hole, okay? Now you could create a second hole by punching something through it, like I said, or you can take your scissors and see how small this hole is. You can create another one right next to it that's super duper small just by curving the page around. Super small. And if you needed some help, you can draw that shape like a little O in order to help you cut it. Basically, you go in with the very middle of your scissors and you curl the paper around and come straight back out. Now the reason we want it to be super, super small is because we want that opening to be small. It's even smaller than the hole punch. Now we need 2 more in the center, okay? So, taking my scissors, they're gonna be about 2 inches from the other holes and about 1 inch apart. Yes, you could get your ruler and you could actually measure if you like to measure, but this is called eyeballing, which means it's not exact, but it creates a nice space that looks about 1 inch. And you can also measure from your tip of your finger to your first knuckle. That's about 1 inch. See that? And then 1, 2, 1, 2.5, something like that. Not too much of a worry in order to create this book. Nice. Opening it all the way back in the middle. See, this isn't the middle because one page is coming up, so I have to open it all the way back in the middle. And the next thing we're gonna do is get a little piece of string or yarn, whatever you might have, and you're gonna cut this about 3 inches apart, and you're gonna poke it. So this is about 3 inches long. I'm gonna poke it through the top hole, pulling it slightly, and then take the other end and poke it through the bottom hole. And you know what? This hole is a little bit too small for my liking. I can't get the yarn through, so I'm gonna fold it back, and I am going to cut this hole a little bit bigger. Now, you don't want it too big because you don't want the yarn to move around too much. You want the hole about as big as the yarn. So here we go again. Now, both ends come out the back, meaning on the inside, all we see is that little piece of yarn holding on tight, and since it's 1 inch apart, that paper is strong. If they were too close together, we would be able to yank this and it would just come apart, and we do not want that. So make sure your holes are about 1 inch apart. 2 holes, 1 inch apart. Then we tie a square knot. You go across, under, and tie, just like the beginning of tying your shoes. Now we're gonna do a double knot because we do want it to be nice and tight. Doubling. Now if you wanted to make it really pretty, you could put a little bow on the end, but that is just totally up to you. It is your choice, your design. But there we have a nice little bow, and this is going to be on the outside of our book, so it's gonna sit just like that. All right, do the same thing with the next 2 fasteners, we'll call it, okay? So I've cut my string, I open it to the center. I put one string through one hole, pulling it from behind until the next string reaches the hole, pulling it from behind. Nice. See how it's got a good inch apart? Then flip it over, holding it all together, hold it tight, and do your square knot. I will put it this way so that you can see. I go over, under, pull it tight, double knot, over, under, pull it tight, and if you want to, why not make that into a bow? If you don't, they will just hang loose, and that looks really cool too. Okay, last one. Open it to the beginning of the opening of the spine. The spine is the edge of the book where all the papers fold. That is called the spine. Pull it. Good. Poke the other side through. Pull that. Nice. Now the fun thing with creating your own book, like I said with my little journal, is that you can put any kind of paper that you want. You could put paper from a paper bag. You could put one sheet of contact paper, and you could pull up that contact plastic part. You could put images underneath it, and you could spread it back down, and it'll be there permanently because contact paper sticks everything down. But you could include that into your book, like a permanent sticker. How cool would that be? You could try to make a book with as many different pieces of paper as possible. That definitely makes it very unique and very your own book. Okay, so folding it back together, this is the front because we open pages from the right, and this is the back. Okay, now notice how it lays nice and flat. We've got 12 pieces of paper, which means we could add a lot of different things, and we can open it up. And it looks nice and flat from the inside too. The pages don't want to pick up and fold back together. And when we get to the center, we see our strings. That means we're back to the center. And then continue to fold, and away you go. Now, you can put a title on the front. You could even use this to write your own story for the summertime, or you could just put your name. I like to put the date because I think it's really fun to remember where I was and what I was doing when I was making my journal and when I was doing my art. So you can make this very artistic. You could just put in numbers. You could put the month, and then you could put your name. Nice. Now you could add any kind of decoration that you want around the outside of your book. Okay? Turning it over, we're going to get to our first page, and just for fun, we're going to practice cutting a shape, and we're going to tape or glue it down. Okay? Go grab the glue. That's better. That is much better for adding our images. But I happen to just have tape right now, so I am going to use tape. And I looked through a bunch of magazines, and I found something that looked pretty cool. And it's this pyramid right here, made of gold and glass. I'm just going to cut off the top of it. Now, your journal is your own, meaning nobody ever has to look in it if you don't want anybody to see it, and you want to have the freedom of expression. Freedom of expression means that you can write and draw whatever you want, whatever you're thinking of, however you feel, and you want to get it out on page because it'll make you feel better. And also, you might look at it a long time from now and be like, that is so cool. That's when I remembered how to do that. Now the first page would look really great if you just turned it into a collage. What is a collage? A collage is taking little pieces of pictures and just arranging them in a unique way. Something that you wouldn't think to be together can create something really fun and silly by putting them next to each other. So I'm gonna take an ancient piece of jewelry, and just to be silly, I'm gonna put it right next to a boiling teapot, and it makes no sense because they did not exist at the same time. What if I put the teapot on top of the piece of jewelry? Okay, so that's what you could do for the first page. You could make it be like a snapshot of what you're doing and where you are at. And glue, yes, is the best, but in my case, just for now, I only have transparent tape, so I'm going to tape it all down. Sometimes with images, you can use them to help you spark an idea. So if you feel like you want to make art, but you can't think of something cool yet, you're not very inspired, just collect your images and put them all next to each other and see what might happen. Turning the page, we already have accomplished so much art today. We have made a book with a spine, and we have started a collage on the first page. But the next part of our class today is going to be putting pictures down and using those pictures to help us draw. Now you want to choose some images that are easy and some that are hard, okay? I chose this shape because this heart is something that I have drawn before. And I have also drawn a square. I'm going to skip the fingers because those are much more difficult to me. So pick something out of a magazine and cut it. You can choose where you want to cut it. If I want to make sure that I don't see the hands at all, I can cut it like this. I can cut the square and keep the square around it if I want, or I could cut just the circle. It is up to you. Okay, now the cool thing about this next project is we are going to use this to help. So instead of adding images everywhere like a collage, we're going to use this to help us learn to draw. Okay? Now, what we are going to do is we are going to cut this picture in half. Yes, we are. We're going to cut it in half, long and long side down, and we're going to cut that heart right in the middle. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to tape down half the picture and we're going to draw the other side. That's why it's good to start with something you consider to be easy. Something that you would say, I've got that. That is easy. We're going to step up our challenges as we go. Now, if I am right-handed, if you are right-handed, you're going to take away the right picture and you're going to put your left side up so that you can draw the right side with your right hand. If you are left-handed, see how this is in the way? We will keep the right side of the picture and take away the left side so that we can draw the left side. I happen to be right-handed, so I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to tape down the left side of that picture. You could absolutely glue it if glue is what you have. All right, okay, you can tape down every edge if you want to, but this is the edge where we're going to start to draw, so you don't want tape to be in the way of this edge. But I don't necessarily like how it's ruffling and moving, especially if a big gust of wind comes, so I want to tape down the side. Now we use the other piece of paper to check our work. Meaning, once we start to draw, we compare with the real piece of picture. But until then, we want to look at the side and we want to match our picture so we see it is on a circle, right? So we're gonna find the bottom of that circle and the top of that circle. Knowing it comes out about 2 inches, we want to create that circle again. Working with pencil, we are able to erase. I'm doing very light strokes and I'm looking at this side so that when I come down, I can match it. Okay? Then we ask ourselves, where is the tip of the heart meeting the page? Here and here. Now we know the bottom of the heart goes up on the diagonal, and we know that the top of the heart actually wants to meet in the middle but go back up. Okay? Good. Looking at the shape of the heart. Now, I think it needs to be a little bit straighter, and I'm going to get my eraser in order to take that line away. All right, sometimes artist pencils don't have erasers, so you'll want to get a good eraser to work with, but you do notice that classroom pencils have erasers, so anything works. Okay, put the eraser slightly on the edge and just rub, and these lines come away. Looking at the inside of this, there's a double heart, isn't there? So we want to find the top and find the bottom, and working with the same distance apart from the edge of this cookie, we are going to make our double heart. Okay, now let's finish by putting our square around. Now the best way is just take all kinds of images that you like, cut them in half, and practice. Now I need to go all the way to the edge of the plate. Actually, it's not reaching the edge of the plate on that side, so I'm just gonna do it exactly the same. This is the red, and then this is the white. Okay, by practicing this, we practice awareness, and we also practice our drawing skills. We want to look, observe, and try our best. Okay, nice job. Since we worked on that, let's add some color. Why not? Color is super fun. You could put the little dashes on the plate because they are here, and the plate is white. See how there's like little flowers? I would encourage you to try to focus on all of that, but for now I want to just add color. Now you could use markers or crayons. I'm going to use crayons, and I'm going to go with my coloring crayon around the edge of the plate to get the red. And in this case, instead of being creative with our colors, like sometimes it is up to you because you are the artist to pick your colors, right? But in this case, we're just matching our colors, okay? So you want to find the color that matches your image because we are just duplicating the image, right? Now I noticed that this red's a little bit darker than that red, and I know that this isn't absolutely the same, but I wanted to have 2 different colors for our hearts and our background. So I'm matching it as close as I can with the colors that I happen to have. Next is kind of a brown for that cookie, and I happen to have a marker that is sort of the same color as that. You could use anything you can find, and we're going to match the color of the heart. and my pencils are smudging because of the ink in the marker, but that's okay. All right. Now if you want to, you can put some of the colors of the plate. So let's just add a couple shapes that we saw on the plate. These are like flowers, and then there's a little line like that. Nice and simple. And if you also feel like you want to add some of the orange, I like working with a bunch of different art supplies. And then I am going to draw a square around the whole thing to combine it all back together again, like it's all one piece of art. So I went over the tape and it seems to be holding, so you could try that. There we go. One piece of art all back together again. Looks pretty cool. You know what I would like to see is the inside square too. So I'm gonna frame it. I'm just gonna continue to frame it. This is up to you if you want to do that. And then I'm gonna frame the plate with a black pen. When you give something a strong outline, it kind of comes forward on the page. So it is up to you if you want to give it a strong outline. Nice job. How did you do? I forgot to mention, if you wanted to add this down below as a reminder of what you worked on, you could just put it like a tab so that you could remove it and double check, or you could just leave it like that. I would encourage you to do a bunch of these because each one teaches a different skill. This one would teach curved shapes, and it would also teach some shading. How do we make this look 3D instead of flat? Would include some shading, some reflection. See the white spots? This shape helped us learn some things about diagonals and how diagonals create depth. Also, bold lines create some depth perception. This shape reminded us how to curve and make a heart. It showed us how to bring things to the forefront by outlining. And we are back to our collage. Just for inspiration, we add all kinds of things in there. Anything, anything, anything. And then we put our name on the front. We have our fringe or ties on the side. And we have our awesome journal, summertime journal book that we made. And I hope by the end of the summer, every single page is filled up with your ideas. Your ideas are more awesome than you could ever guess. And when you go back and you read what you wrote, you'll probably impress yourself. I hope you enjoyed today's art lesson, and I look forward to seeing all the things that you collect and all the things that you draw this summer. We will be posting a new lesson every day at 10 a.m. on the Acadiana Center for the Arts YouTube channel for kindergarten, first, and second grades, each tied to the academic curriculum. And you can also get these lessons on AOC as a part of the Learn United program, accessible on AOC Cox Channel 16 or LUS Channel 4. Kindergarten lessons air at 8 and first and second grades at 9 a.m. Some lessons will be in visual arts and some in creative movement. So be sure to come back and make art with us tomorrow. And if you're interested in supporting programs like this, visit AcadianaCenterForTheArts.org, the nonprofit who manages the PACE program, and help us spread the word, share our videos, and keep making art.